Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates. And I think as people are starting to buy a house, they have to first establish home search criteria. And in this video, I want to walk through what that looks like and what that process of establishing that home search criteria looks like. And I like to frame things in terms of needs, wants, and nos. Before we jump into categorizing what's most important to us in our home search, I think we need to start with the pre-approval conversation. So before we get too far down the rabbit trail, I think we need to have our loan figured out. Whenever you're buying a house, it's cool and it's sexy to think through, what do I want? What am I looking for? What can I find online? Can I find things that match up with what I like? But the practical matter is we also need to have the budget. So before I like to go and see what's out there, I want to see what can I actually afford? What's my budget? And that will help inform those criteria. Because if I have a budget and it doesn't match up with what I like, then I either need to shift what I like or change the location or press pause. So the pre-approval part, unless you're paying cash, which statistically 12 to 15% of buyers are going to be cash in our area, then you're already able to skip this step and just jump right in, and you can fast forward to talking about needs, wants, and nos. But if you're a buyer who does need to get financing, which is the majority of homeowners, then this is important. So you're going to meet with a loan officer, right? You can find lots and lots of information by Googling. You'll be able to get pre-qualifications by Googling around and typing in numbers into calculators. I think the best way to meet a loan officer is to be referred by a real estate agent, because we're working with, as you can imagine, tons of loan officers and are going to have favorites, and we don't get kickbacks or anything like that. That's how it used to be, but it's not that way anymore. So I think a real estate agent is a great way to get a referral to a mortgage loan officer, and that would be just wherever you're at, right? If you're in the Seattle area, I can be a great resource for you. If you're not, find another real estate agent, talk to your real estate agent, and I'm sure they can help you out with that. But that pre-approval is going to be based on your income. That's how much you make, your assets, that's how much you have, and then your credit score, right? Those are all going to play into the pre-approval, and then you'll get that information. What can I actually afford? And then we'll look at the other criteria. So the first thing when we're looking at home search criteria, those are the needs. We can also call this the must-haves. So I always have clients go through and list off those things that are absolutely critical to their home search. These aren't things that are, well, I mean, I'd like to have these. These are, I wouldn't buy the house without them. So we put those, and if you want to, you could just use a sheet of paper and draw 3 columns. You can also create just 3 headings and type some bullet points underneath it, whatever's helpful for you. But I think you got to have those needs and must-haves in their own category. And some people, that's the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the square footage, lot size, style of house. People have different things they put on this list, but you have to have those needs, because those are the ones where, if we are looking at listings, those would generally be the things that you're filtering out as absolutes. And if they don't, like, let's just say a 2-bedroom house pops up and you said you only want a 4-bedroom house. We don't go look at the 2-bedroom house. We go look at the 4-bedroom house, right? The wants, okay, these aren't needs. These aren't requirements. These aren't must-haves. These are nice-to-haves. These are things that you would like, but you know what? They're open-handed. If the needs are close-handed, your nice-to-haves, your wants, those are open-handed. They're things that would be really great, but you might get a few of them, but maybe not all of them, right? So for some people, like Bill Gates, you can just import sand from Hawaii to the beach at your house on Lake Washington, all right? But most people aren't going to spend the money and or can't spend the money to do something like that. So you're probably going to have to make some sacrifices when it comes to what you want. And for me, when I'm thinking about wants, I have people think in terms of the house and the location. So sometimes if you have to compromise, right, you have to pick one of those two. Sometimes it's the location you compromise on to get more of your wants or your needs. And other times you say, well, I'll compromise more on the house so I can have that location. So I think you have to decide, first of all, what's most important to you, right? The house or the location. And then as you're coming up with this list, maybe a few of those things would go into the wants category if you can get that location that you want versus the needs category. Hopefully that makes sense, right? You have to kind of weigh the pros and cons. And then the deal breakers, or the no's, as I like to call them, these are the things that cross a house off the list. And again, these are absolutes. So we have our absolutes in the needs and we have our absolutes in the no's. This might be a busy road, or it might be a dark lot, lots of trees, not enough sunlight. This might be the type of house. It might be the condition of the house. Again, everybody has different things on their list that falls under the no's or the deal breakers category. But this is, again, something where if it was a no or a deal breaker, we're not going to go look at this house. So for me, you've got your pre-approval, right? And it combines with your criteria, your needs, wants, and your no's. And this is what determines what we go take a look at so that we're being extremely productive with our time. And we're also looking at houses that make the most sense for you. When the market's hot, this is even more important because the houses are selling so quickly. You don't want to look at the houses that don't work. You want to really focus on the ones that make sense. In a buyer's market or a market that's a little bit slower, you might have the opportunity to look at some houses that are not going to work. But again, I'm not quite sure what the point is in that scenario either. So we've got our needs, wants, and our no's. And I think as we start looking at houses, right? And as you start looking at houses, you have the ability to change those things. So things that you thought might be extremely important maybe aren't as important. And things that you thought were wants might become needs, right? So you're having things jump on the list. You also might add some deal breakers. I think these criteria need to be flexible, but also stuck to. So if you stick to them and then you decide to change them, then change them, right? But have a little commitment to them. And I think this makes for a super smooth home buying process. I think thinking through these needs, wants, and no's up front and having your home search criteria dialed in to go with your pre-approval makes the job of looking at houses and touring houses so much better than if it's just, oh yeah, as long as it, it's standing up and it's in the right area, let's go look at it. I think that's just not quite the right process. So for me, we get this home search criteria dialed in along with the pre-approval, and that's what gets us to go look at houses. I hope this video talking through the home search criteria was helpful for you. If you're watching this video and you stumbled upon it and you're somewhere outside of the Seattle Bellevue area, I hope it was super beneficial for you still. If you're in the Seattle Bellevue area and you're working with me already to buy a house, then this is a great framework to kind of get started with before we have our buyer consultation. And if you're watching this video and you're like, what's a buyer consultation? I might need to have one of those. That's where we talk a little bit more about this criteria. We dive into it. We talk about the home buying process itself, and then we decide if we're a good match to work together. So if you want to reach out and have questions for me or want to connect, feel free to do so. And of course, if you're getting a lot of value out of this video and you want to see more videos like it, like the market updates, please subscribe.